What is good, everybody? Welcome to the Look Ahead, part of the SB Nation NFL show. I am Rob Stats Guerrera. He is RJ Ochoa. What's up, RJ?
Hello, Stats. How are you doing, my friend? It's great to be with you. Great to experience you in an audible sense. Great to see your face over the metaverse. Not literally, but just like in a general sense. Overall, my day is better for being in your presence, and I want you to know that.
Wow. Okay. I have to say I agree with you. Before we get rolling here, just want to remind everybody that we are brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook. DraftKings Sportsbook is an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app today. Use code SBN NFL for a special offer when you sign up. That is code SBN NFL only at DraftKings. We have a big show, RJ. We got Aaron Rodgers news to talk about. We have Troy Aikman news to talk about, which I know is in your wheelhouse, so you're going to want to get to that. Before we do, though, we always remind you, please follow the SB Nation NFL show, rate, review, follow. If you take the time to leave a review on the show, we always promise you that we will take the time to read it, which, RJ, unfortunately brings me to this. This review comes from someone named Reviewer16752243. Really creative
Okay.
name there. To use his own words, gross. 1 star. And I'm just going to read this. RJ is a hatred-filled podcast monster who can't get past his own Cowboys homerism. He gleefully stomps all over any team who is obviously better and has had more success than the boys. Constantly stomping on the 49ers and Chiefs. Just a mean-spirited troll of the airwaves. If I was his podcast partner and couldn't get him fired, I'd quit.
Well, my first question is, as one of my many podcast partners, how do you feel, Stats?
Well, I haven't been able to get you fired yet, so quitting has crossed my mind. We'll see how this show goes.
Look, I would like to think that I am in many ways not a Cowboys homer. We all have a level of homerism to us. Pete Sweeney has the largest one. But I would like to think that I drag the Cowboys when necessary, which unfortunately is often. I drag a lot of teams. You know what I mean? Like, welcome to the resistance, my friend. You know, like, some teams suck. Some teams need to be dragged. The team that I actually am the sorriest about dragging is the Denver Broncos. I was maybe a little too quick to call them frauds. Like, they wound up being frauds, but they unfrauded themselves halfway through the fraud process. But the Chiefs deserve to be dragged. The 49ers committed to Jimmy Garoppolo for an entire season and wasted a year's worth of talent from all these great players. And so, you know, some teams, most teams suck, and that's okay. I have no problem being the person that has to say it out loud. If you consider that being full of hatred, then you should really see the things I send Stats, because that's where I filter things out to get to here.
Accurate. No, I will say you're right. We all have a degree of homerism. I feel like we all have like more understanding for our own teams, because I think that's only natural, especially if you are a fan of the team that you cover. But I will say, since the Cowboys lost to the 49ers in the playoffs, nobody has dragged on the Cowboys more than you. Every time the Cowboys come up, you take the opportunity to billy club them. So I give you credit for that. You have done that consistently. But I think I speak for everybody here at the SB Nation NFL show. We love you, and we don't want you to change at all.
Well, Bear just growled, so there's some protectiveness happening in my office, obviously. Yeah, we're going to talk about Cowboys. The only reason we're going to talk about the Cowboys today is because it's been so long since they've been successful that one of their most famous players is now over 2 decades into his broadcast. That's life as the Dallas Cowboys right now, baby. Let's go.
That was going to be our lead story until, RJ, I saw a tweet that came at 9 a.m. Eastern time this morning.
Eastern time is stupid. Everybody knows that.
Diana Rossini of ESPN. I'm just going to read the tweet, and then we can talk about it. Quote.
Big show for reading.
Yeah. New for me. Aaron Rodgers will be informing the Packers of his decision soon, per league sources. I'm told there are multiple teams with offers on the table, but of course, nothing can happen until the Packers of Green Bay allow a trade. Your thoughts?
Should you really say the Packers of Green Bay?
No, I shouldn't have said quote, because I did switch that around. That's a reference to Coming to America with Eddie Murphy.
I've only seen it once, and I saw it like in 2013. Like it was like way after it originally came out. And it's just like you ever watch something that a lot of people love like way after the fact and it just doesn't hit home for you?
Yeah, it's a great movie.
It's okay. I mean, like I didn't watch Indiana Jones till like 2008. It was, you know, in 2008, like we've come a long way in a technological sense, but like even then, I was like, yeah, this is way too long ago. So like, it's fine, but whatever. Anyway, this is stupid. Not Diana's report, obviously. That's sound, but Aaron, dude, I care. I'm mad that I care. That's where I'm at, Stats. I'm mad that I am interested in this. It is so annoying. It is so ridiculously annoying. And I'm actually prepared to say that this is worse than the way Favre dragged it out. It's worse. I'm curious if you agree.
Well, Favre retired and unretired 3 times. So we're not there yet with Aaron. This is still attempt number 1.
But like the pettiness is larger with Aaron. Like Favre's pettiness was just like vindictiveness. Like he all he wanted to do was beat the Packers. Like Aaron wants to Aaron is what's the name of the bad guy in Saw? Is it Jigsaw? That's what Aaron is. He's like devising these like horrible like situations for Packers fans where they just have to sit and toil this entire time. Like, dude, like just set them free one way or the other. Like this is exhausting.
This is the weird part of it to me. Aaron Rodgers will inform the Packers of his decision soon. How do we? Did he tell the Packers, "Hey, I haven't decided yet, but I'm going to tell you soon"? Like, if you know that you're going to tell them soon, don't you already have your decision? Right? Like, this is weird to me. Like, just say what's happening. Why do we have to have this report that it's coming soon? You're either staying or going. Those are the 2 options.
Well, the other part of this, and I actually thought this is what you were going to say, and I was going to give you a lot of credit if you did, but you didn't, so I can't.
Monster.
So, when we talked about the review, we talked about like things that we say, and like you said, oh yeah, I know you to say that, RJ. I know you and I to be the only people who said this. All right, what I'm about to say. Back in, what was it, July or August, whenever Aaron showed up to training camp, and everybody's like, he did it, he won, he got the Packers to blink. What? Like you and I were sitting here saying like, no, he didn't. They own his rights through 2022. Like, there's no victory here. Like, yeah, they got rid of the 2023 season, cool, but Aaron has won nothing. And so the verbiage of this tweet, to your point, where Aaron will inform them of his decision. It's not his decision if he wants to be traded. That's the last part of Diana's tweet says nothing can happen until the Green Bay Packers allow a trade. That is not a matter of until, and that's not me criticizing Diana. That's a matter of their decision. The Packers have to decide if Aaron's decision is a contingency based on whatever the Green Bay Packers decide.
Right. He's still under contract for the coming season. And Brian Gutekunst met with the media yesterday and expressly said he never promised to trade Aaron Rodgers. He said, quote, "That was not something I told him. I think the whole conversation with Aaron last season before he came back was that regardless at the end of this past season, that we would sit down as a group and we would work it out one way or another." Now, I think that the way Rodgers' contract works is he has a huge cap hit this year, I'm pretty sure. So, technically they would either have to deal with that huge cap hit or need Aaron Rodgers to help out with renegotiating the deal. And so maybe that's where Aaron has some leverage. But the point is, it's not just an Aaron Rodgers decision.
Right. And that's man, dude, like what is this all about? Like, are you trying to squeeze out more money, Aaron? Do you want a higher guarantee? I mean, do you just want to embarrass the franchise more? Do you just want to hear fans beg you to return? Like, what is the end game here? I mean, what is his motivation? I mean, I know people often reference Bill Parcells' line of, if you're thinking about retiring, you've retired. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, Aaron has to know. Like, he has to know at least what strong direction he's leaning in at this point. And so it's like, what is the whole point here? I mean, he specifically even said, like, I'm not going to drag this out. Well, welcome to dragging it out, Aaron. Like, that's what's happening here. This dropping of breadcrumbs, it was so predictable how he was going to be like, yeah, the Instagram post didn't mean anything. Like, everybody else read too much into that. The photo of Cobby and Tay, I mean, that's your fault for reading into it. That photo just means a lot to me.
Right. It just appeared on its own there in the feed, right? Like he had nothing to do with it. He didn't personally select it. What is the deal with these quarterbacks, RJ? We saw it with Brady too. Like they can't get this news operation functioning, right? We got the report that Brady's retiring, and then he was like, whoa, 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 how dare you? I haven't decided it. 2 days later, he announced his retirement.
Well,
Like,
that one I slightly get in the sense of like he just wanted to do it on his own terms. Like I can understand that to a certain degree. And to his credit, he didn't drag it out. He didn't let it sit and wait to dominate an entire week. He let it, hang out over the weekend because that initial report from ESPN came on a Saturday, and then Monday, boom, it's done. It's official. It's a business day, people. We're back in the office.
Like, what is the point? After the news already comes out, what is the point of trying to put the toothpaste back in the tube and say, no, I haven't decided anything, only to then 2 days later decide to, like, that's stupid. You got, Brady.
I mean,
you screwed it up. Deal with it.
I'm not saying it's brilliant, but I mean, I get that more than I get this. Like, I get wanting to do it your way, wanting to control it, wanting to have your statement, wanting to have their conversations. Maybe some conversations weren't had. You want people to hear it from you. Like, I get that. And so like but like, that's way more understandable than this. And again, this feels like, like you and BLG were talking about relationships. The podcast was very therapeutic for some people, I think, this week. But you were talking about relationships this week, and like this to me is like if you're a Packers fan, not that any Packers fan had any control over Aaron Rodgers being their quarterback, but like it's this situation of like when you're hurt in one way, you're like, I'm never doing that again. Like I'm never going down that path again. And you would think that like out of some, I wouldn't call it respect, but just some like care or kindness for Packers fans, that having been in the Brett Favre situation the way that he was, that Aaron would have some sensitivity to that and not want to put this fan base through this all over again to this degree. And so I just like, I don't think that's a thing. I think he's, he's so wrapped up in the Aaron-ness of it all that, he's incapable of seeing anything else.
Yeah, I think he's come full circle now. He has morphed into Brett Favre when Brett Favre was closing out his career with the Packers. He first was the young up and comer, and now he has completely come around to exactly where Favre was when he left. So let's get to the second half of this tweet, RJ. Multiple teams, according to Diana Rossini, have offers for Aaron Rodgers on the table. That's not surprising to me. If you're a team that wants Aaron Rodgers, you're not going to sit back and wait. You're going to try and blow the Packers away with an offer. So they say, holy crap, we have to do this.
Well, so I have a take on this, and it comes back to dragging the Cowboys. I've said before, like in the last few weeks, if the Cowboys' plan this year is Sean Payton will be our coach if this season doesn't work out, that's the worst plan I've ever heard. Like, that's a terrible plan for 1,000 reasons, but like chief among them, no pun intended, is like, what if there are other jobs available next year that Sean Payton is interested in? What if Andy Reid retires? So what if he can coach the Chiefs? Like, you don't know what the future holds. And it does kind of feel like, back to the fraud Denver Broncos, like their whole plan for the last year has been like, we'll just trade for Aaron Rodgers in 2022. And so I was going to say, if Aaron returns to the Green Bay Packers, it is the biggest indictment of the Denver Broncos. I think there's only one gear above that, and it's if he is traded to a non-Broncos team. If he is sent somewhere other than Denver, it is the biggest L that the Broncos organization has taken maybe this century. And I don't think that's a dramatic statement, but they have clearly, they hired Nathaniel Hackett. Like, and I don't want to say he's not worthy or deserving of the job in his own right, but I mean, they have been so, people talk about the Rams going all in, they have been so all in on this proposition, so to fail would be really embarrassing. They're obviously in the mix. I don't know how you can't say the 49ers aren't in the mix, especially with all the Trey Lance rumors popping around. I don't know how happy that would make you. I mean, like, I don't think it's inconceivable. They may not be the most likely team, but they have to be in the mix.
They have to be in the mix. They already tried to trade for Aaron Rodgers after giving up what they gave up for Trey Lance. So don't forget that. They made the trade for the draft picks with Miami in, I think, March or early April. So like they had already made that move. And then the morning of the draft, when we found out Aaron Rodgers was potentially available, the Niners made an offer to Green Bay. So they have already tried to get him. So they have to be in the mix. I think that Kyle Shanahan feels a ton of pressure to win and not just get to an NFC Championship game.
Well, especially
win a
now.
Super Bowl.
Right.
McVay, his buddy, the guy, his underling, let's be honest, McVay was hired by Kyle Shanahan in Washington, has 2 trips to the Super Bowl and now a Super Bowl title. And he did it by trading and moving heaven and earth to get a quarterback that can put them over the top. So I think Shanahan's absolutely feeling the pressure. He knows how good Aaron Rodgers is. They have to be in the mix. For the record, I would absolutely hate it. I want no part of it. And I know how good Aaron Rodgers is. I don't care. You moved heaven and earth to get Trey Lance. Let the damn kid play. Forget Aaron Rodgers. Forget this pipe dream. Just stick to the plan. That is
There's
my
a lot of pipe
position.
dreams for the 49ers right now. You got Aaron Rodgers, you got Tom Brady coming out of retirement to play for them. Like it's
a weird time for the 49ers.
I feel really bad for Trey Lance. Like this has to suck. Okay, so we agree the 49ers are in the mix. Who else? The
Denver for sure, the 49ers for sure. I bet you the Carolina Panthers have an offer on the table because they've been trying to get a franchise quarterback for years and instead settled on Sam Darnold in one of the dumbest moves of all time. But I think with Tepper's statements on the record about how they want to get a quarterback, I absolutely put the Carolina Panthers on the list.
Well, there was the report also earlier this week that they had slight interest in trading for Kirk Cousins. That would set the SB Nation NFL show on fire. But obviously Tennessee's got to be in the mix based on reports from when the offseason first started. The Raiders were in the mix last year when the Broncos kind of first emerged as a top contender. I think people would like to say the Saints. I don't know how that's really possible. But I mean, if you're talking about just team names, I guess the Giants would have to be in the mix. I mean, they have the Giants and Eagles both have the capital if they want to pull this off.
In the mix.
Yeah,
3 first-round picks.
Well, the Giants have 2. I mean, so they're there. The Colts. I mean, I know people are so hip to I've read 1,000 versions of is the Rams model replicatable by teams, blah, blah. But I have a hard time, and I think people have a hard time identifying who are the Rams of this offseason. Like, who are the team that feel they are that away, like an Aaron Rodgers away, so to speak. I know Aaron Rodgers is not Matthew Stafford, but I mean, the answer would be San Francisco to me, or maybe Tennessee. I don't think Denver's that team, but I think San Francisco's that team to a larger degree.
I think that people look at Denver and say they could be way better than they are if they only improve this one spot, which I think is fair, is true, because they do have weapons in Green Bay that are in Denver. They have a solid defense. But I agree. I think technically, if you were to look at everything, the full picture, the 49ers are the team where you would say they are just the quarterback away. You didn't mention Washington. Ron Rivera has been telling everybody how attractive they should be for a franchise quarterback and how they are going to get one.
I've been telling everybody I'm going to win the lotto for 14 years. It hadn't happened. So,
but what I'm saying is they are not denying that they are going to be in the mix for people.
That's going to be the team. I've said this on the NFC's mixtape to BLG. You can listen to that on the Blog on the Boys, Big Blue View, Hogs Haven, or Bleeding Green Nation podcast networks. If not for their personal history with him, Kirk Cousins would be the ideal candidate for Washington this offseason. Would he not? That's the guy they would trade for. You know what I'm saying? But again, it just so happens that he has that particular personal history with this franchise. What about the Cardinals? I mean,
see, this is okay.
That's their thing. Their thing is let's take a great player from another team and then pretend he's our great player and put him in our Ring of Honor. That's the Cardinal way.
This is the difference, though, right? So I've talked about this on every Niners Nation podcast because seemingly every day there's more news about Jimmy Garoppolo. My official position is it doesn't really matter what the 49ers get back for Jimmy Garoppolo. It'd be nice to get a first-round pick, obviously, but who cares? Sixth-round pick, seventh-round pick, whatever. You've got your replacement on the team already. So, yeah, get as much as you can, but the more important thing is that you make the trade and get the deal done. With the Packers, I mean, maybe they have a ton of faith in Jordan Love. I don't get that feeling, but it makes a lot more sense for the Packers to trade Rodgers, let's say, to the Cardinals and get Kyler Murray back than it does to just get 3 first-round picks, So they have to factor that into the equation.
Kyler Murray, clearly a fan of the Green Bay color scheme based on his preference for the Oakland Athletics. By the
way, not to cut you off, I'm sorry. Did you notice that Russell Wilson changed his Twitter avatar picture and the colors in the picture are not Seahawks colors? Do you know what colors they are?
Are they Green Bay Packers colors? It's a light green, right?
Green Bay Packers colors.
I know that made the rounds. I actually saw that on Commander's Reddit because I believe he went to high school in Virginia, and so their thought was he's going back to his Virginia roots. I think Russell. I'm a big fan of Russell Wilson. I know you hate him, but by the way, friend of the SB Nation NFL show, Russell Wilson. But
That's fair.
he I mean, I know you, I'm sure you know this too. He has spoken a lot about his late father and the impact that he had on his life, and I believe the photo is him and his father, right? So I wouldn't read like too terribly much into that. I think it's a little bit of a different situation than when these kind of things normally happen. You know, the normal social media breadcrumbs, so to speak. Like, I know that's a fun topic, but this one truly seems like maybe just, just a photo that I've seen Russ share that photo a lot, is my point.
Yeah, I was just saying, I'm sure he has a lot of pictures of him with his dad.
Well,
he chose that one. These things don't happen by accident. That's my point. These things don't happen by accident.
Would Chicago be in the mix? Like, for maybe Russ? Like, I know this is a different question, but like, if we live in a world where Aaron Rodgers is gone, assuming in this particular hypothetical to the AFC, whether it's the Broncos or otherwise, and if you're the Bears, like, it's there, right? It's there for the taking, right? You don't have a first round pick, so you obviously have that bridge to cross. But I mean, it feels like so reckless. I've taken a big L on Justin Fields. Congratulations, BLG. But you're right there. Like, how can you not? The division's yours. Like, it can be yours. It can be yours right now. And so to just be like, well, we think Justin Fields can be that good, you got to be really confident. I mean, because you have just gotten a huge advantage if Aaron Rodgers is out of the division.
Yeah, that's what it ultimately comes down to. That's why these quarterback decisions, man, they don't just affect the single season that you make them, right? When you decide to get a Trey Lance or a Justin Fields or whoever, usually that means you're sticking with that guy for the next 2 to 3 years, regardless of who becomes available. Now, maybe they do what the Cardinals did. They dumped Josh Rosen. They got Kyler Murray. Maybe I think that was an extreme circumstance where the Cardinals were so awful that they got the number 1 overall pick and Kyler was basically just sitting there. So they didn't really have to give up anything to get him. But usually it means you're locked into that guy. And like you said, you never know what's going to happen. So I don't know. Maybe the Bears, you just got Eberflus there. You would think that the discussions with him before he took the job were, do you think you can win with Justin Fields? And I'm sure he said yes, because if he said no, I doubt he would have gotten hired. So we'll see.
I love Matt Eberflus. Great coach. Way too low on the Oddcast power rankings of new head coaches. But, I mean, Russell's regressed. I think we can all admit this, except for Eagles fans living in a pipe dream. But
I would not go too crazy with that. I don't know that I agree.
Well, he's regressed. Like, even if it's 1%, like, that statement is literally accurate, right?
I don't know. I mean, the guy got injured for the first time in his career essentially last year. We don't know what percentage he was when he did come back to play. I'm not willing to say that. Like, would you be stunned if Russell Wilson played at the level that we're used to seeing next year? Would you be like, I never thought he could do this again?
I would not be stunned, but I'd be mildly surprised at this point. Like, my expectations for him have withered, I guess is what I'm personally saying. I think Russ would look awesome in the Bears uniform. Like, I want to see that. He would look really weird in the orange one that they wear, but he would look really, really, really awesome. By the way, now that we live in a world, and we got to do an episode about this later in the offseason, but where throwback helmets are going to be a thing because teams can wear alternate helmets. If Aaron Rodgers does go to Denver, what if they wear those awful Broncos throwbacks with like the all brown helmet? You know what I'm talking about? With the brown and yellow
vertical stripes.
Yeah, like that. That would not look good. Like, I would almost avoid Denver for that reason alone. By the way, a very small gripe on this stuff. If you're an NFL team and you're going to wear a throwback uniform like that, and it's a color scheme that is not with your like current one, you got to change everything. Like, you got to change midfield. You got to change the tarps. You got to do it all. You can't have like the normal setup of the stadium and then this weird uniform. You look like you're a visiting team playing in the stadium.
100%. You can't be a little bit pregnant. You got to go all in. All right, let's take a break, RJ. When we come back, we got to talk about essentially your Dallas Cowboys, because there is broadcast news about Troy Aikman. He is more than likely leaving Fox. He's going to have a new home next season for his analysis. We'll get into that and what the possible domino effects of that could be when we come back. Back here on the Look Ahead, part of the SB Nation NFL show. All right, RJ. The big news that came out late last night, according to the New York Post, Troy Aikman is deep in negotiations with ESPN. He is going to leave Fox. He will become the main analyst for Monday Night Football. You are a Cowboys fan. You covered the Dallas Cowboys, so I give you the first bite at this apple.
Well, first of all, on this week's episode of Monday Football Monday, Pete Sweeney and I played a game. We went through, between the two of us and Steven Serta, who was filling in for Rachel Prevet, 10 things that we guaranteed would happen this offseason. One of my 4 things that I listed was that the only top broadcast crew that would not see a change to the lineup would be CBS, that Jim Nantz, Tony Romo, Tracy Wolfson would all return. So this Troy Aikman news seemingly makes me correct. We basically know that Al Michaels is out as the play-by-play voice of NBC and Sunday Night Football. That's probably going to be Mike Tirico, we agree. We know that Michelle Tafoya is gone from that crew. We can just leave that at that. And that it's likely going to be Catherine Tappan filling in for her. So NBC seeing some change. I already had that one. The big domino I needed to fall was something involving Monday Night Football, which is where my guy, Troy, came in. Had my back. Number 8. In fact, that's the name of his new beer, actually. Numero ocho, just like me, RJ Ochoa. This is... second Cowboys player.
Yourself on the back right there.
Second, maybe I am a monster and a troll, or whatever the review said. Second Cowboys player to be the top color analyst on Monday Night Football in the last 5 years. So, what's that say? It says if you play for this team, you're not going to win anything special unless you're Troy Aikman, and you're going to have some nice cushy jobs afterwards. But if you. I know not everybody follows Troy the way I do. I was paying a lot of attention to the things he said throughout his car wash appearances in the lead up to the Super Bowl. And he was obviously promoting the new beer that I mentioned. And he was constantly asked about this. He was a guest on Richard Deitch's podcast. Richard does a great job analyzing the sports media landscape. And, everybody asked him, hey, what's the deal? Are you going to be returning to Fox? And he was very transparent. He said, I don't know. He said, I would like to, but I'm very confident in my abilities. I certainly want to do this. He's talked a lot about how his daughters are now in college. And so he's at a different place where when he works a game, he can now kind of, explore the cities a little bit. Obviously, we still live in pandemic times, but it's a different lifestyle when you have to get home to kids in high school or whatever the case may be. And so he's just at a different stage. And so he's talked a lot about wanting to get into a front office role. But it seems like that's not happening for some time, although he's still really young. And we've seen some people make that transition. Shout out to John Lynch, of course. This is big news. I think that Troy is really slept on as an analyst. I know this is going to shock you, but most Cowboys fans fawn over Tony Romo. And anytime you suggest that anyone is good at being an analyst on television, it's Romo's better. Romo's so much better. Tony Romo forever. And so you run into that buzzsaw. I don't think any color analyst out-prepares Troy Aikman. And so I'm very, very, very excited about this, but there's a massive domino effect that's going to fall.
Yes, this is going to change our viewing and listening experience every week in the fall now, because there are so many dominoes here. This is the crazy thing. So according to the article in the New York Post, whatever contract Troy Aikman agrees to is going to be in the neighborhood of Tony Romo's deal, which is $17.5 million per year over 10 years, basically $180 million in that ballpark. Do you know that Troy Aikman in his football career earned a total of $55 million?
So I think the deal is 5 years, by the way, not 10 years, just to be the reported.
For Romo?
For Aikman, just to be clear. Yeah, right.
Romo had signed the 10-year deal.
Right.
That's just wild to me. Aikman has to be sitting back thinking, I'm going to earn, over $100 million maybe, or, $17 million a year, whatever, in that ballpark. I don't have to take a hit. I don't have to throw a pass. I don't have to do anything. Meanwhile, he played in the meat grinder of an NFL and earned $55 million total for his entire career. Unbelievable. But that's just, that's the world we live in now. So let's get into some of the dominoes here. First, Aikman goes to ESPN. They're going to spend an incredible amount of money on him, RJ, and it's not going to change my viewing habits in any way. I'm not going to watch a game I wouldn't normally watch because Troy Aikman is there. And despite the fact that the ESPN crews in recent years have not been very good, I haven't missed a Monday Night Football game. So it's crazy to me that they are spending all this money. What are you getting exactly?
I think you're getting a legend. I don't think they've had a legend of this stature. I mean,
but do you think the ratings are going to go up now because Troy Aikman's calling the games?
I think the ratings are going to go up because I think the quality of games, I think they're going to get better games. And I think that they've been inching closer and closer to that. It's no secret if you've followed the NFL for a long time that Monday nights, as far as primetime scheduling's been concerned, Monday night's been like the worst and the runt of the litter.
They absolutely get the leftovers for sure.
Right. But they're starting to, it feels like they're starting to kind of arrive a little bit. I mean, we're going to get the Super Bowl on ABC/ESPN in 4 years now, I guess. Super Bowl 61, which is crazy
Two out of the
to
next
think about.
3 are on Fox, aren't they?
No, I'm talking on ABC. Super Bowl 61 is set to be on ABC.
Right. My bad. Sorry. Yeah, you're right.
And that is incidentally, and the New York Post article highlighted this as well, the final year of Troy's deal. So he will get to do that Super Bowl. And so, but I think it gives them legitimacy. Not that ESPN is lacking for that, but I mean, I mean this with no disrespect, but I mean, Brian Griese and Steve Levy and Louis Riddick, there's not an NFL icon in that group. I mean, you know what I'm saying? And even before that, Witten will one day be in the Hall of Fame, but still not on Troy's level. And again, talking about who he was, at least through the public prism, John Gruden had won a Super Bowl, but was not Troy Aikman as far as NFL accomplishments are concerned. I mean, this gives them also a seasoned pro at calling games. They have not had that before either. I mean, really and I don't want to speak for Troy, but just knowing him through the way I cover the Cowboys, he is a huge fan and has an enormous amount of respect for John Madden. They were part of the Pro Football Hall of Fame class of 2006 together. Obviously, Troy has followed that same career path, and John Madden bounced around. I wouldn't doubt it if Troy likes that he's kind of likened to Madden and that he kind of gets to, be part of different networks and stuff like that. And so, again, not to put Troy in anybody's same breath, although Troy is a legend in his own right, I think that this is kind of the most legitimate veteran icon presence that Monday Night Football, the property, has had since John Madden.
It's a big, big move for ESPN for sure. There's going to be a lot of dominoes because Fox is they're going to have to shuffle some things now. Aikman's, if he's leaving, which it looks like he is, they've got options now. What do? Do they move Greg Olsen into the number one slot and make him the number one analyst? I don't know. RJ, I'm just going to throw this out there. This was the subject of my 49ers in 5 podcast this morning. I would not rule out John Lynch. I think that they are going to take a shot at John Lynch. He was specifically named in the article in the New York Post as a potential mystery candidate, which I found ironic because mystery candidates are not usually named specifically, but Lynch was asked about this earlier this offseason at the beginning of February, and he said, opportunities get presented sometimes, but I'm committed to the 49ers. Now, maybe Fox had already started sniffing around that, just as a potential backup plan if things with Aikman didn't work out, but I'm not ruling it out. You talk about guys that they know, veteran established guys. They loved John Lynch when he was there. He clearly can do it. He can do it at a very high level. He's very good at it. They would have the general manager of an NFC team, which Fox usually gets majority NFC games, a guy that's been to the Super Bowl recently. That would be, I could see Fox having interest in John Lynch.
I mean, it makes sense. I love Greg Olsen. I mean, but he's not John Lynch from an experience standpoint there.
He is very good.
He's not John Lynch. He is very good, but he's not John Lynch from an accomplishment standpoint. I mean, John Lynch, the Hall of Famer. I mean, he's won a Super Bowl himself. I mean, so, but I think, and this is maybe why some people are questioning Troy's decision, although maybe Troy's decision boils down to cash. But I mean, in a weird way, the Fox job is a bigger stage. I mean, that window, America's Game of the Week, does more ratings, higher ratings than just about anything else, except for CBS's top afternoon window, of course. And so, I mean, that's a lot of pressure. I mean, I'm really stunned that Fox is, I don't want to say letting this happen, but that they didn't do everything. Maybe they did do everything they could. And they just, couldn't. But, Troy is very close to Joe being Joe Buck. I mean, there's chemistry issues. I mean, and the three of them, we talked about Friends of the Espn Nation NFL show. When Erin Andrews was on in the lead to the Super Bowl, she talked about how close she is to Joe Buck and Troy Aikman, that she's, whenever they don't have a game, they're texting and she wants to know what they would be saying and things like that. And yeah, people get close and new crews develop. I mean, used to be Pam Oliver before Erin Andrews to that point. But this is with Fox, you got to introduce a dude now in the year you have the Super Bowl. That's tough. That's tough cookies. And you have 2 years. I mean, that's a really, really, really fine line to walk.
What are your other potential ideas for Fox for what they could do? In the article, they mentioned Drew Brees being possible. Did you have somebody in mind that you think would be a good fit?
I mean, I think the best bet is Greg Olson, but I don't know how. I mean, like, I don't want to say Joe Buck is not great. I like Joe Buck more than most people, but I don't know how much of Greg Olson's greatness is a product of Kevin Burkhardt, because I think Kevin Burkhardt's great. And so, I mean, that's just a crazy. I mean, that's a crazy place to be in. And I think they could be in an even crazier place. Like, just to speculate on what Fox has to do, part of the things that the article mentions is that because we don't know who Troy's partner is going to be on Monday Night Football, man, like, the rough part about that article is there was no mention of Steve Levy. Like, apparently it's like no consideration that he would be the person to sit in the booth with Troy. But the article mentioned that ESPN could make a run at Joe Buck and just like bring him over, and that he has a year remaining on his deal. Joe Buck is like Mr. Fox. I mean, I could never see that happening, especially with the fact that he also calls the World Series. But I mean, man, that would be seismic, and that would be catastrophic for Fox to lose literally your top crew.
Yeah, that's a tough pill to swallow for sure. I just want to throw another couple names out there. I'm biased because I know this person. I've worked with him, but I think Mark Schlereth does an awesome job for Fox. I think he's great. He's a 3-time Super Bowl champion. He obviously has experience. He worked at ESPN for years. He still has a ton of relationships around the league. I mean, he was the guy that literally he was telling people last year before the draft that a deal for Aaron Rodgers and the Broncos was on the 1-yard line. And he told me when I interviewed him this week that when he said that on the air, both the Broncos and Aaron Rodgers were texting him and asking him who his source was. They didn't say he was wrong. They wanted to know where he was getting his information from. So obviously he still has sources and relationships around the league. I would absolutely love to see Mark Schlereth get that job.
Another name that has been thrown out, mentioned in the article, Sean Payton, obviously wants to do television. And I tell you what, there are a lot of Cowboys fans like kind of pumped about this, right? Like, ooh, Troy on Monday Night Football. Now I can enjoy Monday Night Football, whatever, blah, blah. Last Cowboy on Monday Night Football was kind of embarrassing, whatever. If Sean Payton got this job, I would have serious doubts that he's returning to coaching anytime soon. This isn't like, this isn't Fox's like third or fourth team. CBS is third or fourth. Like Bruce Arians, when he retired, was on CBS's like third or fourth team.
Right.
And so if Sean Payton took this job, it would clearly be a commitment, like a serious commitment of sorts, to where he wouldn't be walking away just a year from now. It'd be a 3, 4, 5 year sort of thing.
Yes, because they want to establish a relationship between the fans and that team. Like for me, growing up when I was a kid, when you heard Madden and Summerall on the game, you knew it was a big game. This is a big deal. When I think about seeing like especially back then when you couldn't see any team you wanted all the time. So when the 49ers would be on TV and I heard Summerall and Madden talking about my team, like it was a big deal. And even now, Aikman and Buck have been together for a really long time.
Years.
I don't even know. Is it 20?
It's about, yeah.
Like that again, like it's a big game when you heard Aikman and Buck. So I think Fox is going to want to establish that. So you're right. I don't think they're going to want like a musical chairs where somebody's popping in and out a bunch of times. Whoever they get, they're going to want that person to be there for the long haul.
It's crazy when you think about, we've said things like, oh, if the Commanders fire Ron Rivera and the Cowboys fire Mike McCarthy, Nick Sirianni would be the longest tenured coach in the NFC East. And that just feels crazy to consider. And I mean, Tony Romo is almost the longest tenured color commentator for every top team. I don't know what's going to happen with Chris Collinsworth. That's an interesting variable here to me. And that's a really unique one, because I do wonder with Tirico and Catherine Tappan potentially sliding in a la Chris Collinsworth to the other two slots on Sunday Night Football, I wonder if NBC just wants a whole new crew, right? Like, yep. do you just want a brand new start? But again, where that's unique is Pro Football Focus's methodology is such a part of the broadcast. I don't know.
Maybe they could easily switch that.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I'm just saying, it's a different. He brings something different than everybody else. Technically, is all I'm saying.
How about we do a little musical chairs, right? NBC decides, let's turn the page, new chapter. Let's say NBC goes Tirico and Drew Brees,
which is what they clearly want to do, right?
Right. Then you've got Aikman going to ESPN. What if Collinsworth then goes to Fox to team with Joe Buck?
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. He was originally on Fox with Troy Aikman and Joe Buck. They called Super Bowl 39 together.
See, I think that could be kind of attractive to Fox, right? Hey, this is a person you already have that kind of relationship with.
Right. I would love that. I like Chris Collinsworth more than most people do. I know people harp on him. I know I said that nobody out prepares Troy, but it is so clear and obvious that Chris Collinsworth is like a football, like just freak. Like he just lives and breathes it. And he's all, I mean, like, again, I know people have their qualms with PFF, but like he's all like just consuming it all the time. That's the dude who should be calling games. Like the person who is that obsessed about it. I think Troy's that obsessed. I think Romo just has enough charm to, even if he's not that obsessed, kind of BS his way through it. Not that he does, but that would, if that were to be the case. So like if it were to be the teams that you suggested, and I see Michael Kiss nominating Dick Butkus, also friend of the Espn Nation
that
NFL
would be
show.
Fantastic.
To be clear here, Dick Butkus is the friend of the Espn Nation NFL show, not Michael Kiss. But so if that were to happen, does NBC not have the worst crew? Because like I don't have any faith in Drew Brees, if I'm being honest. I don't have any faith in him whatsoever.
No, like that people do not understand about these kind of jobs. It's not about how much you know. Bill Walsh was an analyst and he was awful. It's not a function of how much you know. Clearly, Bill Walsh is a football genius. It's about how you take what you know and can immediately apply it to a situation and clearly express that in like 15 seconds. That's what you have to do over and over and over and over again as an analyst. It's very, very difficult to do.
Yeah. I mean, and I don't know that I trust Drew Brees to do that. Like I'll be honest. When Football Night in America is on, and in case anyone's unaware, that's what the Sunday Night Football pregame show is called. Like, because generally the Cowboys play on in Fox's afternoon window with Buck, Troy, and Aaron. I'm generally working when Football Night in America is on, so I haven't seen a ton of it. But I have not been like floored with Drew Brees. Like when it's Tirico and Dungy and Breeze and Rodney Harrison, like I'm never like, wow, that's a great point from Drew, whatever. Like, so I don't have it, but like that he would clearly be the worst one, like just on principle, right? Compared to Collinsworth, Aikman, and Romo.
Yeah, I mean, just because I would say I have to agree, we just don't know. The thing is, like, what do you do that's different? That's my point. Like the reason that Tony Romo took off and became so popular is because he was different than the other people doing that job. Now, I think he's sort of become a caricature of himself now.
Agreed.
He got way too obsessed with like trying to predict the play.
Whoa, stats! What are you going to say about me?
Right, like making the weird, here we go, Jim. Like you can tone that down a little bit, but like you can't deny that when he started doing games, you were like, whoa, this is different. And that's what people like. Like, I think Drew Brees is going to be absolutely fine, but I don't see him being demonstrably different from anybody else that does that job.
You know what my biggest pet peeve on Romo is? And again, like I could never tweet this because context would be absent and Cowboys fans would be like, Romo's the best, blah, blah, blah. But like Romo will be like, it's going to be a run to the left. And then it's a run to the left and be like, look at this genius, like whatever. But like, you know, he'll be, but the inverse of that is Romo will be like, oh, right here, Jim, he's going to drop back. This is a screen pass, like easily. He's going to do this to by this time, blah, blah, blah. And then it's like a bomb downfield. And then like, as they're like running up, he's like, well, Jim, clearly they didn't listen to the stupid announcer because that guy has no idea what he's talking about. It's like, dude, you can't just like spin everything into self-deprecation and then like be funny. Like you were wrong. Like it's okay. Like, you know, like that's my biggest thing.
The best thing that Romo does is when he takes you inside the mind of a quarterback during 2-minute drill situations.
But he's often wrong.
But I like not when he predicts, but when he'll say like, okay, in this situation, you know, either like this part of the field's going to be open because of XYZ, or you have to figure in your head, you've got 2 plays here. So you can't, like when he gets into the mind like that and takes you kind of through how the wheels are turning. I love that because you're educating me, right? I don't need you to tell me what happened most of the time. I can see it. It's on my screen. So tell me something I don't know about what I just saw. He does that sometimes, which is what I like. And I hope that whoever Fox gets to replace Troy Aikman does more of that. And don't be afraid to go with someone like that, even if they don't have the biggest name necessarily.
You ready for a take that Cowboys fans are not prepared for?
Hit me with it.
Greg Olsen is actually who people think Tony Romo is. He's that guy. He is really that. He's that person without the caricature. That's who Greg Olsen is. Now he could always like develop into the caricature like Romo has, but he is truly that person. And I love Romo. I like love Romo. But Greg Olsen is really, he is who people think Tony Romo is.
I think Greg Olsen is very, very good. I would not be upset at all if he got that job. I want to throw one more name in the mix before we wrap it up here.
Of
And
course
again,
you
I'm
do.
biased. I know.
Of course you do.
But
Stir the pot.
I'm throwing
stir it
Chris
up,
Sims' name in the mix. He's got
Oh,
experience.
that's
He
not what I
does.
was expecting.
He did games for Notre Dame, and here's why. Because I just having worked with Chris every day and knowing him personally, he'll say some stuff, man. Chris Sims is not, he doesn't care. He is not afraid to be brutally honest in situations. I feel like a lot of the time, Collinsworth, Aikman, when you get to this extremely high level, you're not as critical as you would be necessarily.
Well,
Chris will not have that problem.
On the flip side of that, and I love Troy, but Troy is guilty of pandering in one way that nobody else is. I don't know how many times, it's at least twice a game, that Troy will be like, that's a great call. I think this game's been well officiated. It's like, Troy, shut up, dude. Just like, nobody cares. Like, quit carrying the league's water here. But that would be fine. I don't have anything against Chris Sims. He thought way more highly of Kellen Mond than any Aggie I know.
Yes, he did.
Is the one thing I would say. We did not say, and I thought you were going to say this name, Sean McVay. His name was mentioned in the New York Post article. And because we also, we're trying to fit these holes right now, or at least the Fox hole as it currently stands. We also don't know who's going to be the Amazon color commentator for Thursday Night Football, and seemingly pairing with Al Michaels.
That was a huge thing I was going to mention. You're right. We've been remiss to not have mentioned that. They have obviously they're Amazon. They have a truckload of money to hand out to somebody, and that is a huge factor in this. They have so much money, RJ. They could try and get a Manning. They could try and get McVay. They could try and get Tom Brady, who's mentioned in this article, although Brady has never expressed any interest in doing that. I think that would be really interesting if it happened. But they have so much money, like they can do whatever they want. And that's what I always say when it comes to like trading for guys and stuff like that, right? Like, hey, don't just look from guys who are technically available. Like, trade for anybody. Anybody's potentially available. When you're Amazon, anybody's available. You can go get somebody that we're not even thinking about, and they have to be a factor in this, whether it's McVay or anybody, really.
So to list them out, just so we're aware, at least for our own personal entertainment, because we like this stuff. The current openings, seemingly, because anything could change. We have the play-by-play voice of Monday Night Football to pair with Troy, right? You're muted.
Correct.
So okay. So that's one. We have the color analyst job, the top color analyst job at Fox to pair with Joe Buck, seemingly. Again, anything could change. That's two, right?
Yep.
So then we also have I think we're going to assume that Al Michaels is the play-by-play voice of Thursday Night Football on Amazon. So we have his partner in the booth, his top color analyst, and his sideline reporter. I think that's also an important thing. Like who because those are elite jobs. I mean, we mentioned Aaron Andrews, Tracy Wolfson, Michelle Tafoya had it forever on Sunday Night Football, Lisa Salters on Monday Night Football. Will Lisa Salters stay with Troy Aikman's crew? I mean, that's another question. I mean, if they're kicking out, Greasy, Riddick, and Levy, are they kicking out Lisa Salters as well?
The crew as a whole is an important factor. Like Al Michael. It's one thing to get the analyst job for Amazon. It's another thing altogether when you get the analyst job with Al Michaels, the living legend. Al is never going to make you look bad, ever. Like he's a pro's pro. Like that is a huge factor in this. There's a relationship that has to form between the two people in those jobs that is not to be overlooked. So Al Michaels makes the Amazon job a billion times more attractive than it would be.
Okay, so we have like 5-6 openings potentially.
I'm for it, man. I like this. Like, let's mix it up a little bit. Let's change things, different combinations. Not that it was bad, but it's good to have a little variety every once in a while. The NFL next year, from a viewing perspective, could look a hell of a lot different.
I do think it's crazy. Again, like I wasn't a Phil Simms fan, big shocker. But when Romo got that job, it felt so weird at first because like you mentioned, like for so long it had been Fox's top team, CBS's top team, NBC's top team. You know, like in Thursday night had fluctuated, but it had always been one team or another. Like it had never been something really new unless it was one of those like NFL Network one-offs. And so when CBS changed to Romo, it felt so weird to have just like a new person in the club. And so now CBS, like I'm saying, they're the longest tenured group together. Nance, Romo, and Tracy. Like everybody else has some change or another, which again proves my prediction to be correct. So congratulations to me. That was only 5 years ago that happened. You know what I mean? Like that's crazy. I do have one sub prediction within this, if you'll allow me.
I will allow it.
We live in such an interesting time where, like, I don't know, I think we both agree with this. Like, I'm overwhelmed with the things I have to watch. Like, there's so many like shows and documentaries and things like on all these different streaming platforms. Like, you agree, right? Like, it's just taxing to think about all the things you have to watch.
It can be overwhelming, yes.
Right. So ESPN, like, very well established in ESPN Plus. My sub prediction. There's going to be like a 30 for 30 or some sort of like mini series on Troy's career. We have never gotten a Troy Aikman A Football Life. All right, there's been an Emmitt Smith one.
Really?
There's been a Jerry Jones one, but we have not gotten a big Troy Aikman tell-all. I don't think so, unless I'm completely blanking. But we have not gotten a Troy Aikman A Football Life. I'm verifying this. No, we did get one. Sorry, that's my bad. How could I forget this? But either way, I think we're gonna get like a Troy Aikman mini series or set of things or some sort of like everybody has always tried to recreate John Gruden's QB camp, like some sort of something that Troy is a part of that is on ESPN Plus.
I absolutely agree with you. He will get some sort of platform to do whatever. Maybe it's like you said, working with the draft, the incoming quarterbacks, who knows?
Or like a weekly, setup or recap or preview or something for that week's game or that week's top quarterback or whatever. There's a reason that ESPN has a lot of resources, and there's a reason like of all the top players, because CBS has Paramount Plus, NBC has Peacock, and obviously Amazon is Amazon Prime, and now ESPN is ESPN Plus. That's the one thing that Fox doesn't have that everybody else does. They don't have that kind of like ancillary arm.
Yeah, he's going to get, and ESPN, they'll put him on NFL Live. They'll put him, they will get more than just calling the games for their.
Oh, he's getting a podcast. Like it's all, yeah. And yeah. I guarantee you that his beer will be like an official beer of Monday Night Football.
I would not be shocked at all. But all this stuff goes into the pot, right? Because it's whatever you can do to get them to sign on the line that is dotted, right? What does ESPN care? Sure, we'll still promote your beer. What's the difference? Like, so it's worth it to them to do that. So yeah, we could see major changes both from a quarterback this year, and obviously from a broadcast standpoint, things are very, very much up in the air right now.
Maybe Aaron Rodgers is going to be Al Michaels' partner on Thursday Night Football. Boom.
Man, please, I do not need more Aaron Rodgers in my life. That's for sure. But this is just another reason why you have to follow the SB Nation NFL show, because we are going to be here with you. When stuff happens, we will be here for you, talking about it with you. So make sure you follow the SB Nation NFL show. Leave us a 5-star rating and a review as well. Hopefully one that was a lot nicer than the one we read on today's show. But yeah, that's up to you. So, RJ, I wish you well. I hope you have a great day. I hope you have a great week. Thanks for joining me and putting up with me on the show as always. And rest those arms, because you did a lot of patting yourself on the back today. They might need some ice.
I have one very, very, very last question for you, Stats. On the NFC's mixtape this week, BLG and I power ranked the days of the week. What are your top 3 days of the week in order?
Man, okay. I will go Friday.
Stupid. Wrong. Okay.
I will go Saturday. I will go Sunday.
Saturday is number 2. Sunday isn't in the top 3.
How could list. Sunday not be in the top 3? It's football day.
Well, we're talking about like regular times, like non-football season. Like, so in that world, time? Like Sunday, in that world, like last Sunday was awful, dude. Like I had to clean the garage. I had to do some spring cleaning. Like it was terrible. So, I mean, Sunday, not that great. Top day of the week is Thursday, today. Because you get to look at
why.
That's fine.
Okay.
It's like the weekend is starting. Like the weekend is kind of arriving. Happy hour is always better on Thursday.
Friday's the day, because you have to work, but then you get all day you're looking ahead to being done with work. And then when work is over, you're like, oh, all right, work is done and I got a whole weekend ahead of me. Friday is the best day of the week because you have the work aspect in the beginning of it.
Stupid, wrong, embarrassing. Get us out of here,
right.
please.
You know what? Goodbye.